I welcome you all, basketball degenerates, to another episode of the Pass First, Shoot Later podcast brought to you by the OC Basketball League. I'm your host, Zico Pepic, here with my co-hosts, Michael Van Wyck and Omar Almadine. What's up, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good, doing
What's
good.
going on?
It's good, good. I'm glad to hear that. I went for a 30-minute run tonight, so I'm exhausted.
I didn't do anything remotely athletic today.
Mike, you did something pretty cool yesterday. Why don't you fill us all in?
Oh yeah, yesterday was cool. I got invited to Crypto Arena, crypto.com, and got to play some basketball before the game on the court. Court's fantastic. And then hung out, got to watch everyone warm up before the Lakers-Clippers rivalry, and I got to watch the Clippers beat up the Lakers without LeBron James, obviously, and Zubac didn't play either, but good game, a lot of fun.
So Mike, how did you get invited to that?
Shout out to Happy Hooper, Gerard Rivera, longtime friend, known him a little over 20 years now since high school. Just got the invite. He hooked it up. It was fantastic. I can't thank him enough. It was so fun.
That's
Was it
awesome.
was it on the Clippers court? I think it's the Clippers court, right? Not the Lakers.
Yeah, Clippers court.
Home of the Lakers, bro.
You said what?
Next year,
Home of the
it'll be
Lakers.
the Lakers.
Well, that's why I refer to
It was and always will be home of the Lakers.
it is the home of the Lakers, but it was what court?
But
mean,
Omar, how weird is this to hear Crypto Arena? Like I'll never get used to that.
I'll never get used to that.
You guys will get used to it. Everybody said the same thing when it went to Staples. Oh, the Forum. What happened to the Forum?
No, Mike. Okay, that's two different things. You're talking about the Forum is in Inglewood,
two different
and then
places.
you building a whole new arena in downtown called Staples Center. But when you change the name of Staples Center, which is iconic, the
All right.
Laker championships won in there.
I'll give you a different one.
Even LeBron's championship, the bubble was in Florida, bro. It wasn't in downtown LA or wherever.
I'll give you a different one. The Honda Center is no longer the Pond.
Yeah, I know.
People hated that,
like
and it changed real quick.
I didn't like that one either.
Edison Field isn't Edison anymore.
Yeah.
They change names all the time.
I know, but it's still weird.
But it's still weird.
The name doesn't flow for me. Like Staples Center kind of worked.
Crypto.com Arena.
Yeah, it's not.
Crypto.com Arena.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Rolls right off the tongue, right, Omar?
That's so easy. You know what? It's so easy. But just to combat you, Mike, even though Honda Center is no longer called the Pond, the Ducks still play there, and everybody knows Ducks swim in a pond. The Lakers ain't investing in crypto. Come on, bro. They're stealing people's money.
That's for the Lakers to deal with. The Clippers are going to Intuit. That place looks awesome.
That does look really cool. That looks like a really cool arena.
I mean,
I remember the excitement of moving from the Forum to the Staples Center, and like it was the most amazing thing in the world going into that arena. You know, like Staples Center was so cool. It was brand new. Everything was awesome. So I've never been a Clipper hater or anything like that. They're not a rival to me or anything like that. So for me, I'm happy for them to get their own arena and something really cool like that. I think whenever you see something like that, I think every team's kind of looking at a new bar and hoping they get an arena like that too.
The way the Clippers are playing, I mean, they could take that first banner this year and hang it up into it and only hang championship banners in theirs. Get that streak going. They look good.
They do look really good, man. That team is just rolling right now.
When you get close to hanging on your own banner, Mike, we'll have that conversation then. Until then, you can.
I'm not a Clipper fan, so to speak. I mean, I just watch basketball, so
yeah.
But the teams I've rooted for have hung plenty of banners. Follow players. Everyone should know that by now.
You just said teams, though. The teams you rooted for.
Well, yeah, because of the players that were there.
So you're not really rooting for the team. You're rooting for the player.
James.
Yeah, you're not rooting for the team. You're rooting for the player.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's different.
That's different.
That's fine.
So, I mean, just as a LeBron fan, how disappointed have you been? I mean,
as far as what?
I mean, how many times does he lose in the finals?
Yeah, but that doesn't disappoint me. I still want to.
I got to give you a hard time, Mike. I got to give you a hard time.
One year it was great because it was
Mike,
Kawhi versus them, and That was fun. Kawhi and Tim Duncan against LeBron. That was a great one. I was happy either way.
I've always liked the Heat, and I was like a Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway fan growing up. Always loved the little guards. So I was always rooting for little guys like Tim Hardaway. And yeah, when LeBron went to Miami, although I didn't like the big three concept, I still rooted for them, to be honest with you. And that matchup against the Spurs was a fun one for me too. I think Kawhi really came into his own, and I think you're seeing Kawhi at his prime right now. If he can continue doing what he's doing at this level to be the defensive stopper that he is, on top of that, dude, he got bulky. He is strong. He's not playing small forward anymore, chasing guys around the way he used to. He's like banging with dudes. He's playing power forward
He was guarding AD last night.
yeah, I know.
Kawhi's
It's
a stud,
really
man. That
impressive.
guy's
Like you
awesome.
can't move him. You can't move him. He's a rock. So it's really cool to see how much he's progressed and the player he's become. So I do root for Kawhi. He's one of those guys I do root for in the league, outside of my Laker players. So
I'm trying to find it again, but I think I found it. We're always talking. This is kind of a change of subject, but we're still on the Lakers, and I mentioned AD and AD's nickname, and everybody called him Mr. Street Clothes, right? The guy's always injured. In the last, like, what was it? In the last 356 days, he's played 91 games. He's played the most games out of any NBA player in the last year, basically, which is just crazy to think about considering how often he was injured before that.
And how much people always talk about how AD is always hurt, right?
Always right.
That's the biggest knock on AD, but that's actually the stat that is really, really dope to hear about because it changes the narrative for that player.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're trying to call him Mr. Reliable. I wouldn't go that far, but yeah, I mean, I saw that today, and that was just the most shocking thing I've seen in a long time. More shocking than the Bucks firing their head coach.
I mean, see, you went there, but I was going to go off of a reference to whole Mr. Reliable thing and everything. There's that whole situation of the players stealing from the players' insurance. You guys heard that's the lawsuit about some of the players. And I just read an article. I'm glad you brought up the coach getting fired. I just saw a meme, not an article. Basically, Adrian Griffin got fired because he said that Giannis's brother was was in the NBA on an insurance fraud, stealing money. So, there's going to be so many rumors that come out of reasons why Adrian Griffin got fired. But regardless, I don't think it was basketball related, in my opinion. I mean, the team was they weren't doing what they expected to do. Probably people had a different expectations with them getting Damian Lillard. But, the team is still winning.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
in second place in the Eastern Conference.
exactly. So I don't think it was,
They're tied for the second best record in the league. So it's
yeah,
definitely not basketball related. Is it like an Ime Udoka situation?
possibly. I mean, well, it's going to take a couple weeks or maybe months for it to be, you know,
Yeah. I get all my news from memes and Zico. Zico, what do you have on this?
yeah. Hey, you know what? We're gonna have to check. He's no longer Agent Pepic.
Agent Zico, it's no longer my
Agent Zico. I'm sorry. We're gonna find you one of those insider reporters' names and kind of
Agent Zico is literally perfect for that, man.
no. What's the guy's name? I always screw up his last name. What is it?
Wojnarowski.
Wojciechowski. See, we got to combine your name and his name and come up with a nice nickname
Well,
for because you find out all the rumors and all that stuff.
the league did announce me as being Zico bombs, with all the news I dropped for the league. So I guess that's close enough.
Okay.
Yeah, things that I've heard or read at this point when it comes to Adrian Griffin. I think this goes back further than just this situation that whatever currently is going on. If you remember at the start of the year, they had hired Terry Stotts as the assistant coach. He quit like right at the start of the season. He stepped down, didn't want anything to do with it. The reason being was just because of how Adrian Griffin would speak to him. I think that this is like one of those things where someone came in and wanted to do things. Got your text. I just got that text. That's a good one.
Mike, come on. You can't be throwing Zico's thoughts off in the middle of a podcast and have
I saw him laughing the whole time, so I was wondering what it was, but
what he was up to, right? He was up to something.
something was coming. Yeah, we during this show, everybody, just so you guys know, during the show, we send like random texts to each other just to mess with each other whenever someone says something bad that we can't talk about on air. So
We're not there yet.
yeah, we're not there yet.
Now that Giddy got cleared, we can say whatever we want about him, right?
Yeah, he's cleared. He was dating the girl the whole time.
It was consensual. Parents agreed.
Yep.
Back to Adrian Griffin before this gets messy and our show gets banned. I think that this has to do with how he spoke to other people and how he kind of came in and wanted to do everything his way. Some people take that the wrong way. He's an old school guy and wants to do things the old school way. There's a lot of people that don't like that, especially in today's NBA. One of the things
Terry Stott was old school too, so that's kind of
but Terry Stotts is a little more calm of a person. He's
okay. I agree. I agree from that.
He doesn't give like tough love type of basketball that someone like Pops or Thibs might give.
I got you.
But one of the things I did also read was that Griffin wanted Giannis's brother off the team because he was a waste of a roster spot, and he wanted the team to sign someone else. I don't know if that's true or not. It was something I read. But
let's be honest.
That's the case, man. Look, if that's the case, like, listen, LeBron wants Bronny on the team. Lakers gonna say no. No, they're gonna do it.
The Lakers can't draft him.
Jokic says, "I want my brother to be the water boy." We'll pay him whatever you want, Jokic. No problem. You keep doing what you're doing. We'll make you happy. Giannis wants his brother on the team because he is a basketball player, even if he probably should be in the G League. You do what Giannis wants.
And that's the whole thing. I mean, they have 15 roster spots, right? 15 roster spots. And we talked about this a couple episodes back, is come playoff time, you're at a 7 to 8 man rotation unless somebody is in foul trouble or gets hurt. So those last 6 to 7 spots really don't mean anything when we come to succeeding as a basketball organization and winning.
I think it's more of a practice situation.
Well, but then again, you practice with only 10 on the court. There's still 5 sitting on the sideline watching.
If you're rotating groups, it's nice having that third group in.
I agree with you on that, but like you said,
he's still a serviceable player.
He's still a serviceable player. Yes, he has. I mean, we've seen probably videos and memes and about his blunders in the NBA and his dumb stuff that he's done. But remember, JaVale McGee was the #1 candidate for Shaqtin' a Fool on a regular, but still stayed in the NBA. Yes, he's a 7-footer, but he did dumb stuff too. So you can't just point one guy out just because
his mom took care of him. JaVale McGee's mom cleared him of all that Shaqtin' stuff.
I got you. That's true. And she had her own pedigree to stand behind that, right? And this guy has his brother, who's the face of that organization, who's brought them a championship. It's like Zico said, if LeBron says, I want Bronny on the team, they're going to do whatever, they can. If Jokic wants his brothers the ones that sit security behind the bench to be sitting on the bench, they're going to sit on the bench, whether anybody likes it or not. That's just the nature of being superstars, okay? Not Brook Lopez superstars, but that's what happens when you're NBA superstars. You get to do certain things. I mean, I can tell you right now personally, I know I'm not gonna say who it is just because they're friends and I don't want to expose them. But I know somebody who literally is an assistant coach on an NBA team because his best friend is now a superstar. And he was a package deal when he got drafted, and when he got traded, he went there. And when he got traded again, he went there. So, and shout out to the homies, but I'm not going to say who they are. But I mean, let's look at the Bucks roster. How many of those guys actually are playing that you know? Like,
Well, I know the whole team, but
well, okay, so that's what I'm saying. So,
I don't know if I count. I'm like one of those people that literally will
okay, so
analyze
like,
the entire roster.
no, I got you. I'm looking at the roster right now, so I'm not going to lie that I know that, but I can tell you right now, I don't know who Chris Livingston is. I don't know who AJ Green is. I don't know who Andre Jackson Jr. is. Those are three guys that I personally don't know about, and maybe I should know about them. But again, I know they're not playing as much. So how are they any different than his brother?
Yeah. Again, what I read might just be a rumor. It might not be the truth. So like that's the hard part. Until we get more information on it, it's difficult. I think there is another angle to look at this at. Um, the the team did hire Doc to consult on a few things with Adrian Griffin, or Adrian Griffin was using Doc to consult on certain things,
That works.
right? So I'm just like wondering like how much
Did
Doc
Doc
has.
set that up to get the job?
You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of like makes
That's what I'm gonna say. Did Doc set this?
Did Doc set that up, or did the Bucks have the idea that, hey, we need to hire somebody else? They brought in Doc
No,
Rivers
no. I'm
to see what
saying
he was
after he
doing.
got hired to be, in an advisory role, because Adrian Griffin, I believe, was a first-time head coach, right? So a lot of times these head coaches, they have people sitting as an advisory role, people that have been there before them. But the question comes is after Doc got his foot in the door and he's sitting there watching from afar, how much you know, did it be like, oh, you know what? Oh, I want to coach this team.
I can blow a 3-1 lead here.
Yeah, there's already so many memes on that. It's unreal. I literally got one just today and I could not stop laughing. Somebody literally already made a graphic of Milwaukee Bucks eliminated from the 2024 playoffs with,
Yeah,
I think you see it, his picture. Yeah, I, to be honest with you, I wish they would have rehired Budenholzer.
they
I,
should have never got rid of him.
They never should have got rid of him.
That
Like
was silly.
it was just a horrible decision. Whatever you think of, he wasn't getting the job done. He got you a title. Um, if you really think Doc is the guy that's going to get you there, then okay. I thought when they fired Budenholzer and hired Adrian Griffin, I thought Giannis was gone. I thought he was going to demand a trade. I I honestly thought he was going to New York because at that point New York had 15 tradable draft picks right before the draft, and um, that was it. That was the end of the Bucks. But they end up making the Lillard trade. Everything flips. Yes, he's a first year coach, but they were 30-13, second in the East, was third in the NBA at this point. So it was a shocker to me to see it go down the way it did. I definitely think there's more to this. I'm eager to find out more as it is released. More information is released. Again, I think some of it has to do with how he treated people. I think it started with Terry Stotts. I think it went further on. I read there was another report saying of management was watching how he would handle practices, how he would handle players. I wouldn't be surprised if multiple players complained and they just looked at it as an opportunity to correct what they had messed up. Unfortunately, they went with Doc Rivers. So I don't like the hire. Like Doc is a good coach. I don't think Doc is a great coach. And I think for this team to be able to beat the Celtics, they need a great coach.
Being at 30-13, right, when they made the move, so you're 43 games out of 82 game season. So we'll just call it the halfway point. In the second half of the season with Doc Rivers, do you think they have a better record, or do you think they fall further down? Like, where do you think Doc does them in the regular season? I think in come playoffs, I think Doc will get them further than Griffin would have, but I think they're going to the same place anyway. I think they're going to lose to Philly or Boston, whoever they play first.
To be honest with you, I think it all depends on if they are able to make any sort of trade or sign any particular free agent that is waived after the trade deadline. So I can't answer that until I see what the final roster is gonna look like, because I
Pretend
don't
it's the same.
I think Adrian Griffin actually did amazingly well for what he had. I don't think that team was capable defensively. I don't think they could beat anybody defensively with what they had. It showed in spurts, and he's a defensive minded coach as well. Maybe they get a couple of defensive minded guys that change that and it goes in Doc's favor. Maybe they don't, and then we can kind of see what Doc is working with, and then it'll be fair game to compare them. But as of right now, I don't know if it'll be fair to compare them with the trade deadline just a couple weeks away.
So, but that's a good point that you bring up, Zico. Like, and Mike, like, could there have been a different, you know what I'm saying, a different coach that they could have hired, you know,
Well,
in lieu of Doc? I mean, I'm reading here. I mean, you still have Terry Stotts, who was there, who left. You know, you hired him initially, and obviously he didn't want to be there because of obviously the individual that just got fired. So why not consider bringing him to take over the team? That's an option. You also have Kenny Atkinson. You know what I'm saying? From, you know, he's been a head coach before, and he's dealt with some big egos, and he's currently on the Warrior staff. You know, dealing with a bunch of egos there. So
well, on the flip side too, I mean, like Zico said, trade deadlines come in, right? People are going to make moves. Maybe there's a player out there that they're talking to that they're not supposed to be talking to, but said, "Hey, get rid of that guy, bring in this guy, and we can
oh,
make
oh
an easy
yeah,
move."
Austin
I mean,
Rivers is gonna go play for his dad again.
No, I don't think Austin Rivers likes his dad. I don't think he wants to play for him.
I don't think Austin Rivers is going to Milwaukee, but nonetheless, I'm sure there's still players in the league and people who want to play for Doc Rivers, who think Doc Rivers can get them to that next level, who thinks, hey, this is going to be his year again, because he did do it once, right?
I'm
So
just trying to think, who are the players that most recently, obviously being Philadelphia, that might possibly be available?
PJ Tucker coming back.
That's a really good one.
But how does he really help them?
Yeah, I mean, they have
I
Crawford.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know that. But is
Yeah.
there somebody else who maybe said, hey, I want to come play for this guy?
I mean, unless I know this is a long shot. I know this. I always come up with crazy stuff here, but unless there's low key a discussion where Joel Embiid is asking for a trade.
It's not happening.
And he's not going to get to Milwaukee.
He's
They're
not
not
good
giving up
for.
Giannis, right?
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
I did say it was a long shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think if anybody comes for Doc, you're probably looking at certain role players that have played for him that would fit the system and benefit for him being there. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I really don't know who that would be. Again, it might be someone from the Clippers or from Philly that recently played, but again, I don't know how much better it's going to make them, because in a trade, this team is a little limited with resources and what they could trade.
Maybe they're going to sign Rondo.
Rondo, did he officially
Uh,
retire? I'm actually not sure if he did or didn't.
I mean, Rondo would be a good addition for them as a secondary point guard, but you know, Cameron Payne hasn't been playing bad either.
Well, rumor is that they're actually looking to package Cameron Payne and
I thought Connaughton was going to get moved.
him, yeah. So those two, Connaughton, those two are the two players they're looking to move to get defensive versatility. And Pat's making 9.4 million, Cameron Payne's making 2 million. So you're looking at 11 million.
They're going to bring in Montrezl Harrell.
Is that a game changer? I don't think he helps, because like you have great bigs. I don't think bigs are an issue. I think bigs wise they're great. They got Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, and Giannis rotating with each other. And they still have Jay Crowder in case they want to go small. I think they need perimeter versatility. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. One guy who might get waived now that he was just recently traded is Kyle Lowry. Maybe Kyle Lowry decides to join this group.
That doesn't help them at all.
Yeah, I see. I don't.
I mean,
Another guy,
that's, you know what? I'm sorry to cut you off, Zico, because before I lose my train of thought here, you guys mentioned a person we skipped over because you asked if he was retired, but there's been rumors about Rondo being able to be a good coach in the NBA, and maybe this is possibly that where Doc Rivers ends up hiring Rondo on staff, mentoring him for a season or two, and then handing the Bucks over to Rondo as the head coach.
I actually love Rondo. I'm a big Rondo fan, and I'd be stoked for him. I think he has the potential to be a great coach.
But can you see what I'm saying? Since we're talking about what could be possibly
Yeah.
the case here.
I will say this about another guy who could possibly be traded and then waived, and then one day eventually become a coach. How awesome would it be for Chris Paul and Rondo to both end up being coaches and then just face each other and then continue to hate each other those games?
I don't think Chris Paul would be a good coach. I think he would fall into the Magic Johnsons and Michael Jordans. I think he would demand too many things that the average person, average NBA player is not. Okay, superstars, and Chris Paul is not the greatest point guard to ever play. He's not better than Magic. He's not better than Steph. We're not. But as far as what he could do and how he plays the game, I wouldn't think he would be a good coach. There's been one superstar who's been able to make that transition. Larry Bird did it. Those guys can't coach. Michael Jordan can't coach because he expects people to play how he played and put in the effort that he did. Magic Johnson couldn't do it. He's like, how do you not see this, Pat? I mean, it's just Chris Paul wouldn't be it, in my opinion. Maybe he's, but I don't think.
I would have agreed with you until these last few years. When Chris Paul went to Phoenix and I watched how he mentored Booker, how he pulled Booker aside and helped him develop his game even further. When I watched him in OKC, where he got traded, I think it was a horrible trade. Westbrook for Chris Paul. I think Houston really messed things up doing that trade. Mentored Shea that year that they played together, helped that team get to the playoffs. They played amazing together. I actually see growth in him that guys start to develop as they get older. I see some maturity where I could actually see him developing as a coach. Kind of like Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd was a little bit of a, let's just say, troublemaker when he was younger. If you remember some of the stuff he had dealt with when he was younger, there was a lot of drama surrounding him. As he got older, it was a different player.
Yeah, his issues with Jimmy Jackson dating the same girl.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. His ex-wife and all the stuff he dealt with. You know, it's you guys can all Google that and find out for yourselves if you're not sure of it. But Jason Kidd is one of those guys who I think he's a pretty good coach.
I agree. Jason Kidd has changed from his first coaching job to now. He's also a superstar who made that transition. Yeah.
Which, by the way, he just had a big quote. I don't remember the exact words of the quote, but he said after this firing of Adrian Griffin, for a coach to be 30-13 and get fired, he thinks that every coach in the NBA needs to realize they're on a hot seat. There's no job that's safe. So it's really interesting.
Pops is safe.
Pop is safe, yeah. I think Pop, Spoelstra, those guys are safe. You know, there's little they could do.
Speaking of Spoelstra, wasn't it great what Miami did? Waited till his divorce was complete before they gave him that big contract. I mean, we're all married men here, right? So I'm going to speak on that for a second. You don't need no prenup when you got the organization that got your back talking about get through this and you're good.
That's such a like slick Pat Riley move. You know, he planned that to the minute.
Absolutely. Because he deserved a contract extension before that. And, you know, he didn't get it until, oh, wait, his divorce is complete. Oh, all of a sudden, here's this big contract.
Mike's quiet because his wife's in the background. Like, be very careful what you
she's
say. My wife's in Europe, but
I
she
already knew it though.
So I gotta be careful what I say too.
Yeah. Divorce is expensive. Good job, Miami.
Not if you work for the Miami organization.
Oh, it still costs him money. It's not as much.
Yep.
Well, hey, if Miami went as far as that, who knows? Pat Riley probably would have covered the lawyer costs too. Like, don't worry about it. Just coach. We got it. You don't got to go to court.
Speaking of Miami, they made a trade. It was a very interesting trade. They traded Kyle Lowry, who we just spoke about, for Terry Rozier. It was Lowry and a draft pick for Terry Rozier.
Scary Terry.
He had his first game today with the team. They did lose. Unfortunately, they lost to Memphis, which is kind of a shocker. I don't know how many teams should lose to Memphis right now. But how do you guys feel about this? I like this trade. I think this is one of those like sneaky Heat moves that they make and get guys who are going to be really serviceable come playoff time.
It helps them. We're still talking about the same three teams in the East. I don't see Miami still, even with this roster, getting past a Boston or a Philly or a Milwaukee. Kyle Lowry, obviously, kind of on his downfall, kind of slowing down, not what he used to be. Terry Rozier's kind of fallen under the radar. He kind of got lost a little bit, but he can still play. He can still put up points. He helps them, but they're still not a championship caliber team.
So, Mike, I'm gonna hold off a second because I think that matchups are the most important thing in the playoffs, and this is a hot take, okay?
Oh, I can't.
If the Heat match up against the Celtics, I am putting my money on the Heat to win that series. I know this is going to sound absolutely crazy, but I think that the Heat match up against the Celtics better than any other team. Bam can give Porzingis a lot of problems, whether he's on the perimeter or inside. He's one of my favorite bigs defensively. Jimmy can lock up Tatum. He's done it over and over and over again. And right now, the Heat have enough perimeter players, especially the depth that they have, that I honestly think that they will upset the Celtics if they play them.
Omar, did you hear any of that? Did you just tune them out? The Heat are going to beat the Celtics in a playoff series.
I'm calling it. If the Heat match up against the Celtics,
actually, Mike.
Oh no.
I don't necessarily disagree with that because first of all, I mean, look what Miami's been to 2 finals in the last 4 years.
And they beat the Celtics twice to get through it, and not just beat them, dismantled them.
So you can't put it past them. You know what I'm saying? Miami shows up when it comes playoff time. Whether they're the 8th seed or not, you got to give them credit. Give credit where credit's due.
I agree.
To turn around and say it's a long shot, I can't say that. I mean, yes, they might be the underdog in the series, but it's not a long shot for them to upset somebody. Now,
it's a different Celtics team than it was, though.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think this trade for Scary Terry over Kyle Lowry, they get younger, more tenacious on defense, somebody that can score in bunches. I mean, you've now given Jimmy Butler probably his Robin for as far as tenacity. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if it's his Robin.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Let me just, as far as tenacity, as far as on a defensive end of the ball, right? Somebody that is willing to get to get gritty and get dirty.
What does Bam do?
Huh?
What does Bam do then?
No, but Scary's different. Terry's different, man.
And that's the biggest
he plays
difference
with a chip on his shoulder.
Mike,
that's the biggest difference.
Here's my
Boston
take.
has Kristaps now. Bam has to guard him, and he can't sag off of him. It's not Al Horford. It's a different.
Right. But with the way the Heat play defense, they switch everything on the perimeter. They have the feet and the physicality to do it. Those guys play a little differently than most teams do. And then the other thing, this is the thing to me that's most important. I don't trust the Celtics depth, especially in a case of an injury. think about the depth of this roster right now.
They have Drew
Jimmy
Holiday
Butler.
instead of Smart. It's a completely different team.
What happened to Drew Holiday against Jimmy Butler last season in the playoffs when they played Milwaukee in the first round?
But you just put Jimmy
He
Butler on
destroyed him.
Tatum. So who's he going
Who's
to
going to
guard?
guard Jimmy Butler?
Jimmy Butler's one guy.
Mike, go back and watch the playoffs last year. He dismantled every team he faced. He faced the Celtics. He faced the Knicks. He faced the Milwaukee Bucks. Those are three of the best defensive teams last year. He destroyed all of them. Literally destroyed, picked them apart. And that defense that the Heat played, thanks to one of the best coaches in the NBA in Spoelstra, I think this team is absolutely capable of beating the Celtics. I don't know. I don't like they're the kind of team where it's like I still don't think they'll win the title, but they're the kind of team that's going to give hell to every single team that they face. And they're the kind of team like I just don't, whatever team I'm rooting for, I don't really want to play them just because even if you win, you're going into the next round so bruised and battered that you're probably going to lose just because of the hell you went through playing against them. Think about this though, Mike. Think about this lineup. Okay. Bam, Jaime Vasquez, Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier. Off the bench, you still have Thomas Bryant, Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Josh Richardson, Nikola Jovic, Haywood Highsmith. The team goes really, really deep.
But playoffs come, they're not going to go that deep. Now they'll change it up for matchups, like you said.
They'll change it up for matchups, and that's what Spoelstra does.
I get it.
We saw Duncan Robinson not play last year in the playoffs, and all of a sudden he's a go-to guy this season.
I know. Spoelstra is great. He's a fantastic coach. He plays matchups very well. Celtics are a different team this year.
We'll see. My money's on. I'm calling right now, and I've been high on the Celtics. This move was one of the sneakiest little moves that Miami could have made. I didn't see it coming at all, and like I predicted a bunch of trades when they made this move. I was completely shocked. I think Terry Rozier fits perfectly in the Heat culture, and he's just the exact kind of piece that they needed. And I still feel like they're the kind of team I could see one more guy going to, and it could be a game changer. Like think about those free agents. They get bought out and are looking for a place to play. You want to go to Milwaukee and freeze your what off, or you want to go to the Miami Heat and enjoy that weather, that lifestyle, and play on a team that's playing like that. So
what are you thinking, Zico?
Who they're going to sign? I don't know. I have to see what the buyout market is. The buyout market is going to be really interesting to me, and there's a lot of trades that
Do you guys think? You guys think they'll go after DeMarcus Cousins?
No, I don't. I think that I could see them going for like a long wing, but I don't know which wing will be bought out at this point. Again, we have to see what the
Zico wants them to sign Dwight Howard.
No, not in Miami. I don't think.
No, Dwight Howard right now is playing in the Dubai tournament, and he's being what do you call it? Poached to possibly go play actually in Lebanon. They've been trying to negotiate with him.
I still don't understand why the Golden State Warriors didn't sign him. They had nothing to lose at this point anyway, so yeah. Here, just off the top of my head, by the way, I'm going to name guys who I think will probably be traded and then bought out. I think Chris Paul is going to get traded. I think he's going to get bought out. I think Kyle Lowry will either get traded and bought out or get bought out from the current team he's on. Gordon Hayward, another guy who I don't see any team trading for him, so I think he's going to get bought out. Yeah. I would also keep an eye on some of the players that are on the 76ers roster, because I could see them making a trade for someone and having to trade Batum or Marcus Morris and those guys getting bought out. And those guys are Nicholas Batum would be phenomenal in Miami as well. So there's a lot of guys who I think are there. Sorry, Mike.
Levine's still out there. No one's got him yet.
Yeah, but I don't think he's bought out. Like I'm talking about
no, definitely. Yeah.
Bought out.
Traded that.
That are going to be available for teams to sign. So Chris Paul could be a guy that ends up getting signed by the Lakers, by the way. So I wouldn't be surprised.
And about Crow.
Yeah.
And
But listen,
Dwayne Wade comes out of retirement for a playoff series.
yeah, and Carmelo Anthony too. Stop it. I heard that Caruso might be on the move.
Caruso is a guy that everybody wants, so it's hard to tell with him where he's going. I don't blame any team for pursuing him. He's one of those players that every coach dreams of having. He could fit anywhere. You want to put him in Miami, he'd be perfect, starting or off the bench. You want to put him in Milwaukee, what a godsend for Damian Lillard. You want to put him in New York, he'd thrive in Tibbs' system. You want to put him with the Lakers, he already showed what he could do with LeBron. If Phoenix were to somehow grab him, that would be perfect for them for the point guard situation they don't have. Golden State, same thing. Like there's so many teams he could fit well in that if I were every team, I'd put an offer in for him, honestly.
I'm a big fan of Caruso too. I think he's very undervalued. You think Washington makes any moves?
I don't see who would actually trade for Jordan Poole.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like I know that's the contract that they would love to get off the books. What a disappointment that trade has become. I saw so many people hyped up thinking Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma are going to dominate the NBA and go for 40 points every game together and all these things. People were just
40 misses.
Yeah, 40 misses, exactly. It has been.
Did you guys see the meme about Jordan Poole's GPA at Michigan?
Say it again.
Did you guys see the meme about Jordan Poole's GPA at Michigan?
No.
If I can't remember if it was like 1.9, a 0.9 or a 1.9. I couldn't remember. I'm assuming it's a 0.9.
I have a feeling a lot of NBA guys have situations like that where they just cruise through school and don't care because they're headed off to.
Was that the whole meme? Just a picture of his GPA?
Well, it was him and his GPA like at Michigan. Because I think he's probably. I don't know if Draymond knocked his brain cells out, but
he just knocked the confidence out of him.
Huh?
He just knocked the confidence out of him.
Something's not right with that guy.
I don't think he wants to be there. I think he thought that he can go be on a team, be the guy, and have everything go his way and do what he was doing with the Golden State Warriors. And this happens with a lot of players. They assume all these guys are the best players in the world. Every player in the NBA is some of the best players in the world. I think there's a few guys from Europe that could be thrown into that conversation that don't want to play in the NBA, which is fine. But all these guys have egos. But I don't think some people realize how difficult it is to be the guy versus being a guy next to one of the best guys. How much attention does Steph Curry get to make your life easier for you so you have open shots? You're coming off the bench on a title contending team. All you have to do is hit open shots at that point. And although he did get better and was starting to get more and more attention, he kind of threw everybody off by surprise at the start. Teams didn't realize how good he was. And I think there's a lot of players like that where they think they could do more. They think they could be all-stars. They go into the next situation and then they're duds. And I think Jordan Poole might be realizing some of that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And maybe he should be, a third or fourth option on a team as opposed to the first.
Well, there's a lot of guys that go backwards from that perspective too. The easiest ones are all these Laker players, right? As soon as they go somewhere else, all of a sudden they're great. It's like they're in a different role. They have a different perspective. They have a different outlook. You look at the Ingrams, you look at the Hart, Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle. I mean, they've had a ton of people go through there. Even
some of that, Mike, is also age.
Some of it, but then there's the guys that go backwards. Then there's the guys like Kyle Kuzma, who they thought was it, and then he wanted to go do more, and he's.
So I will say one thing about Kyle Kuzma, which I liked all the Laker young players that they had. I still dream about what that team could have been had they stayed together, especially right now in the West.
It wouldn't be any good.
Mike shakes his head. You don't think they'd be good? I actually think they'd be
really good. Mike?
Really? Because I mean, look at
they wouldn't have developed the same way, guys. They wouldn't have the same.
Randall, Ingram, Josh Hart, Jordan Clarkson, Kyle Kuzma, Lonzo Ball. Like you have 8-man deep rotation. You don't think
They
that's
don't develop the same. They wouldn't have developed the same way. They
I
wouldn't
agree
have.
with you to some standpoint, but to think they wouldn't develop is, I think, wrong because like Zion is, I mean, Ingram's playing next to Zion right now. Randall's playing next to Brunson right now. Randall's been is going to be a third-time All-Star now. They all played on crappy teams at this point. They got better little by little. And you talk to Julius Randle and Jordan Clarkson, what did they say? They learned from Kobe Bryant. D'Angelo Russell says, "Hey, I wish I would have listened to Kobe Bryant more. I regret my time not spending my time more wisely with him." So there's a bunch of stuff that came from that group where they developed and just learned. I think they still would have developed and they would have been really good. But the one thing I was going to say was those guys left when they were really young. You know, Julius Randle was 22 years old when he left. Brandon Ingram was 22 years old when he got traded. And they haven't even filled out into their man's body yet. So like it's kind of hard to decide if they're going to be better or worse had they stayed or left. So I don't know. That's kind of a different situation as and then what I was going to say about Kuzma's situation was different. Kuzma had 4 years of college. He came into the NBA ready. Everybody got hyped because he came in, he was NBA ready. Those guys, unless you're Tim Duncan, don't really become superstars. You look at most 4-year college players, especially today, they end up being really good role players. And I think people got hyped with Kuzma thinking he's going to be a number one player, number one option. He's going to be Paul George. No way, man. Paul George came into the NBA really young. He developed little by little and turned into a superstar, whereas Kuzma didn't really have that ceiling. And Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, they came in 1 year out of college, were younger. They had more time to develop, more time to be in that system. So it's a different conversation to me comparing those situations.
Yeah,
I think that.
I still don't think the Lakers might, as a Laker fan, unfortunately, they're about win now type mentality that takes away from the development of a lot of young players and young athletes that get drafted to the Lakers. But definitely would have loved to see what that team would have turned out to be had they allowed them to spend some time together.
I agree. I would have liked to see it go a little longer, but we got a title and I'm happy with that. So it's hard to compare things when you actually win a title, you know, like it's so hard in today's NBA to win a title in general, let alone win one back to back. So the fact that we made those moves, got a title out of it, you know, the pros outweighed the cons. So still, you know, I have that mentality of once a Laker, always a Laker. Unless you go to the Celtics, then F you.
So where's Rondo stand?
Rated. One thing to get well, he came to the light side, man. Like he like walked out of that darkness and realized like how wrong he was his whole life and came to be a Laker. So and Rondo just so happens to be a big Kobe fan, believe it or not. So
and if we get through one episode without mentioning Kobe, I would be
never, Mike.
I
Never.
would be shocked.
It will never happen. I can promise.
That's when everybody will like and subscribe.
Oh, Mike.
If you haven't done it, you should do it now.
You have no idea how many of the guys complain about you and your hatred of Kobe Bryant.
I think it's blown out of proportion.
I don't. I think they're spot on. Anyway, let's keep going. There was a lot of topics to discuss just in this last week. We did have the day that Kobe Bryant scored 81 points come up just recently, and it was a special day for multiple NBA players, including one big one, Joel Embiid. He had a monster night, 70 points that night. Did you guys watch any of that game by any chance?
No, I didn't actually.
I did not see any of the games.
You guys are killing me with this. You guys are
this was that was what, Monday?
Yes.
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah, we are killing you, Zico. To be honest, yes. You watch more basketball than we do, unfortunately. You know, I kind of envy you how you have time to do that.
He doesn't. He makes
don't.
time.
Yeah, I don't have time. I make time. I just decide I'm not gonna sleep. So 3 to 4 hours a night of sleep, and the rest of the time I
You got that the NBA, right? You can watch it wherever. You can
yeah.
stream it anytime.
I'm not gonna lie, there's been a couple times my wife wants to chuck my phone.
Yeah. See, I got. Let's see. Where was I at? I was doing kids basketball stuff.
That's the best time to watch, man.
I'm trying to watch my kids play. I'm
That's
trying to
when
keep
you
the game
pretend like you're
going.
recording. You're like, yes, yes, good job. I'll record it. Oh man, it didn't record for some reason. Sorry, buddy. And then just
Yeah.
check the
Yeah.
score out, man.
Yeah, that
You know
works.
what?
Trying to make them better.
Zico, when you become a father, I can't wait to see how
I'm
you.
being sarcastic, fellas. You guys know I'm being
I
sarcastic.
know.
Honestly, I'm better than I was. I used to watch 3 or 4 basketball games every single night when the NBA.com app came out. I was watching nonstop. So I've cut back quite a bit. I don't watch whole games. I will watch highlights of games. When I watched the Embiid game, I watched the fourth quarter. I think he was already up to like 50 something points at that point, 54. And Wemby played really well that game too, by the way. I don't want to, have that
He hit
completely
30 something.
shadow him. Yeah, he had 33 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. That was another one of those games, Mike. Like when I say like I'm rooting for Wemby and Chet, I like both of them. I want to see them both do well. And that's a big matchup for him. He did get into foul trouble, kind of bit a little too much. I think that excitement of going up against Embiid, an MVP, kind of got to him on some plays. But he played very well. So Embiid had a lot of really nice things to say about him after the game as well. But Embiid that game was an absolute monster. I watched all the highlights. I watched every point he scored afterwards. Did watch the fourth quarter, but from everywhere, like his mid-range game is so good. He did hit a 3 as well, but only took 2 of them. Did shoot 23 free throws, made 21 of them. Those are big things to ask for a big man. And it was a really impressive game.
Yeah, I saw some highlights and going through it. And anytime you get really above 50 points and you shoot a high percentage, you're getting to the line, obviously, then it's tough to do. It's a good story. It happened on a good day. Everybody's excited. The news came out for that they were tracking him, and then all of a sudden, Cat's got 44 at halftime, and he had a big game. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, I mean, Embiid's a stud. He's a fantastic player, put up points, um, and he can do it from all 3 levels.
And did you see what he said after the game? Did you see his interview?
No, if I didn't watch
You
the game,
did. I
I'll
sent
watch
it
the
to you. I
interview.
sent it to you. I made sure I sent it to you. So
Yeah,
I
I didn't click that link.
Omar, you saw it, right?
No, I'm with Mike on that one.
Man,
I
you guys
watched
have been
that.
looking at the stuff I send you. Come on,
I watched the first one you sent. The first
Hey, you
one
know
you
what?
sent
Full
so far.
disclaimer, people.
Guy made his tribute to
Mike and
Kobe
I
Bryant.
probably receive almost 50 text messages throughout the day or Instagram shares from Zico to where sometimes I'm at work in a meeting and I'm like, damn, he has time to look at this shit right now, and I'm
I
listening to
don't. I
somebody.
just forward stuff people send me. I have so many basketball friends.
No, when the link
Anything
when
they
the
send me, I forward to you guys because I was like, oh my God, we could use this for a podcast.
when the link came up and it said Embiid on how Kobe, I just scrolled past it.
Because you're a Kobe hater, Mike. It's
The Kobe hater. He is. He like the more you
It's
say
just being
stuff,
bombarded
everyone
now.
knows you're a Kobe hater.
Guys,
exactly
everything in basketball isn't about Kobe.
nobody's saying it is,
Maybe
but
if we let some time go by, then I would have clicked on the link and been like, all right, how did Kobe do it? But
It was on the day he scored 81 points, and Embiid literally tributed his game to him.
yeah, afterwards, it's not like he said that going in.
Bro, come on, Mike. On the day
Exactly.
Kobe Bryant scored 81 points and Embiid goes out and scores 70 points, you don't think there was a little motivation to, I want to get as close to that as possible in his honor? You don't think Embiid kind of went out there and be like, I'm going to do this because Kobe's my guy? You don't think Towns did that? I guarantee the whole NBA thought about that. Whether you want to admit it or not, most people, most sane people absolutely adore him and think he's one of, if not the greatest player ever.
I'm sure they do. I couldn't tell you. I know the date was what, 2 days ago. I couldn't even tell you what the date was. I don't know when Kobe scored 81 against a terrible Raptors team.
Yeah, of course. Well, they were a terrible not Raptors team now. Now this stuff's going to come out. So when I talk about
Wait.
no, 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 no. When I
Embiid
talk
scored
about
a bunch of points on a terrible Spurs
no. So you're
team.
going to interrupt me right now. No, no. When I talk about how today's stats are inflated because of the lack of players and the lack of talent, and so all these numbers that LeBron has aren't as great, and all these players that are around here today aren't as great. Steph Curry's numbers, the same thing. When I talk about that, well, that doesn't really count. But now the day this guy scored 81 points. 81 points, the second most in history. Well, it was against a bad team.
Wait, you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. Embiid also did it against a bad Spurs team.
Okay.
People score more points against bad teams. It just tends to happen unless they get subbed out early.
Omar, how many points do you think Kobe would score in a game if he actually played in today's NBA? You think he'd break 100?
Average?
Because I think he'd break
Average? Average, or you talking about just in one game? Like,
in one game. How much do you think he'd get if he played in today's NBA?
oh, he'll probably pass 100.
Him and Jordan, I think they'd have multiple games scoring over 70 points. Multiple games.
Mike, these guys did this stuff when the game was more physical.
He's still going to discredit them because that's what
And
he's
you know
going
what?
to.
Then I'm just tired of talking to Mike when it comes to Kobe, because everybody that's listening to our podcast knows Mike is delusional. Mike has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to Kobe, and Mike is a Kobe hater. And let's just leave it at that.
Mike, why do you hate Kobe so much?
Denver.
We're done. Let's talk about Cat.
Why do you hate Kobe so much? Why do you hate Kobe
He
so much?
was
Really?
he was on pace. He should have won that game. I clicked on that link. Cat got just absolutely obliterated in that last play. No call.
Well, I'm glad you clicked that link because I messaged you guys right away. Did you guys see this play? Oh my God, it was an absolute hack. I could not believe the no call.
From
The
every angle.
referees,
It was
the
bad.
referees are just blowing my mind.
But there's a lot of people with the train of thought of you don't end the game on free throws either. So which one's the right call? You always make the foul call? I think if it's a foul, it's a foul. I don't care how much time's on the clock.
Look, if it was something that was really close, I could understand why they didn't make the call. He didn't get hit once. He got hit at least two, it looked like possibly three times.
Well, his whole arm got pulled back.
Right. His
Yeah,
whole arm
you know
got
what?
pulled back.
I remember the play. I did watch that. I lied. It's yes, he did get hit. One hand pulled back, the other one on the other. It was like 3 fouls in one.
And he's making those free throws. And they would still have 2 seconds. They still would have had a chance to score on the other end.
Yeah, that it legitimately just blew my mind seeing that play, seeing the no call. I didn't get to watch much of that game, honestly, because I kind of watched the Embiid game and then kind of shuffled back to this at the end. I think I watched the last few minutes of it. I did notice Anthony Edwards had a really off night, and I think that's probably the biggest reason they lost.
Anthony Edwards dedicated his to the day Kwame Brown scored 2 points.
Yeah, good comparison there, Mike.
Gotcha. I got you.
But yeah, I could not believe the no call. This is something that is getting. We have a basketball league, right? And like I hope none of the refs are listening because I know we'll get less calls in certain situations. But
Yes,
referees,
some of them might be working our league too. So
yeah,
be careful.
referees are getting considerably worse to me. And I can't wait to get into the conspiracy theory episode because a lot of this will tie into that. It makes you really question the narratives. It makes you question gambling. You know, if it's still going on, if players and referees have, money riding in some of these games, that game was one of those games where right away I felt like there was a narrative for that not to be called. Again, if it was close, I could understand. It was blatant. There was a referee looking from every angle that could have saw one of those hits. Not one of them blew their whistle. So yeah, I wasn't happy to see that. I don't know if I saw the NBA release a 2-minute report yet on it yet either. So I mean you're
And
just
gambling changes your thought process. Whoever, doesn't matter who you are.
right.
If Rory Hachimura would have hit one more three yesterday, I would have been a much happier person. His overs at 1.5 at halftime. He's already hit one. I'm like, oh, he'll hit another. No, I was mad the whole game. He's standing there in the corner, like, swing the ball, Russell, clown.
Oh,
So
I'm
I'm sure
sorry.
these refs who
Sorry to
have,
hear that it wasn't better for you than Mike.
dude, I'm sure these refs are like, yeah, I can get this guy in line to hit his over. That's fine. So I could absolutely see that. But I mean, we talk two sides here. We look at referees, and you're saying over the past whatever, they're getting considerably worse. But obviously, when you're playing the game, you can feel everything that happens. If you get hit on the arm, you feel it. If you get hit on the head, you feel it. There's human error involved, but we're talking about, okay, the NBA used to be so much more physical. It used to be so much more this, and now we're complaining that they tapped me on my arm. Why didn't I get a call? So you can't have it both ways. It's like some of it's got to be physical, but if you don't want it to be that physical, then you got to call these fouls. So it's not all on the refs, but I completely agree. At least the referees that I'm used to, um, the the ones that are consistent, and I think that's all anybody wants is consistency. If you suck, just suck on both sides the same way, right? If you're not going to make a call, then don't make it on the other side. But like you said, there's three people. This guy's having a great game. They have every angle. It's clearly a foul at any era. If your arm, especially your shooting arm with the ball, gets pulled back behind your head, it's a foul. So I don't know how they missed that, unless, yeah, they're gambling, and that can be a conspiracy. I mean, obviously, we know there's referees that have already been caught gambling on games they're refereeing.
Yeah, for me it's the consistency. It's just mind blowing how one going down. I think the very next play in that game, mm, uh, a Charlotte Hornets player came down the court, was barely grazed, and they called a foul. So that's the kind of stuff that just bugs me. Like here, you're not going to call this because end of the game, you don't want to end it on free throws. And then the very next play, there's a basic touch foul, and that one is called, but you're not calling this. I don't get how. I don't know if it's always just for certain players. I do think certain players get, the specialty treatment, but it's just so inconsistent in so many ways where one guy will literally be grazed, it's a foul, and then another guy is just leveled and it's nothing. I do feel for a lot of the bigs. I feel like the bigs really do get hit quite a bit nowadays with no calls. But you see a little guard start to go down the lane and someone grazes his arm with their finger and it's a foul, and it's mind blowing to me. So this is one of the reasons I no longer want to coach. Um, Omar, you're a guy who has coached. We both coached and trained. I lose my mind to the point of I shit you not. I almost threw a clipboard at a ref once. I was coaching young kids. This was eighth graders, and I was ready to chuck my clipboard at the ref, especially with the way they reacted. Because Omar, you know this, a lot of the refs today want to make the show about them,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that was that situation, and I lost it at that point. Honestly, I couldn't. It was one of the reasons I no longer wanted to coach, just not dealing with them. So
So
it's frustrating.
so so since we're on that page, full transparency here. Um, last 2 nights I went to two G League games. So was the first one was the Stockton Kings versus the South Bay Lakers. Actually, Zico, Mike, it was Zuhair's birthday gift.
Oh, nice.
So we went there. Buddy of mine plays for the Stockton Kings, so we went to go watch that game. But yeah, tell about officiating. I mean, we're at the South Bay Lakers game. We're sitting courtside, and
Were
you're
any of
listening.
our refs there, by the way, Omar?
Huh?
Were any of our refs or the refs we know there?
No,
Okay.
no, but there was one that I did recognize, but I don't recall. I don't know them. But man, was it bad? And sitting courtside, you get to hear some of the comments to the players and some of the comments to the coaches, and it's just baffling. And then last night, me and my brother-in-law, we went to the Greensboro Swarm versus the Ontario Clippers here right by the house at the Toyota Center. And again, shout out to the homie Jeff Trepanier who got me tickets. The officiating was bad, bad, and it's just I got to give credit to a lot of these coaches that tolerate that have the patience, that that don't. I know I would have probably got teed in one of those two games. I know that for a fact. It's just bad everywhere you go at every level.
Speaking of coaches and keeping their cool, there's one coach which we talk about a lot, Popovich, who does a pretty good job of keeping his cool, but then just says what he feels like whenever he wants to. And that game against Embiid, when Embiid scored 70, one of the Spurs players like shoulder checked Embiid, like literally dropped him to the floor, and they called a flagrant foul. And they zoom in on Pop as he's getting an explanation from the ref about the flagrant foul, and you just see Pop look and be like, "Are you effing kidding me?" So it just classic Pop. It made me laugh. Like he literally says, "Oh, that's effing bullshit," and it's like hilarious to me that he's still like that and is total fighter when it comes to all these things and loves that old school basketball. So yeah, the game has definitely changed. The referees have changed. There are pros and cons, I guess, to it all.
Yeah, Pop ain't playing when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah,
His mid game interviews and mid quarter interviews are the best.
they're the best. He's the guy's a legend, man. I absolutely love him, and he's definitely one of those guys you think about, like if you could sit down and have lunch with anybody and talk to them, he definitely should be on any basketball player's list of potential people they could use, because I know it'd be absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, sitting down with Pop,
That's what we
that's
should do.
definitely hilarious.
We
So
should try. We
speaking
should
of
try to
Pop,
get Pop on the podcast.
we should. That'd be amazing. I
It's
I can
funny.
use my Balkan roots, Pepic, Pepich, Popovich,
Even
and
better,
I can connect him like that.
my grandma is friends with his mom.
That's epic, Mike. You got to work the magic, because if Pop comes on here, that'd be like the greatest day in all our lives.
Mike, if you could pull that off,
I would have done it already.
no, I was gonna give you more credit than that. You would probably hands down be the GOAT of the podcast. You get Popovich.
Would you put if I get Popovich on here, you put Kobe at 11?
No, because
Hell
if
no.
we sit here and we ask Popovich, I guarantee you he's going to have a pretty interesting list for you.
Well, I'll have to ask him first and screen him before he comes on then.
Absolutely. You can absolutely screen him. I think the worst thing is if you screen him and you say something stupid that he's not going to be happy with, the guy's going to bust your balls for it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, he Popovich. So yeah, what would you do if you got embarrassed by Popovich and told you sound crazy that you don't got Kobe on there?
That'd be fine. He's still entitled to his opinion.
Mike, you'd fall into a hole. You'd be so embarrassed for one of your idols, Greg Popovich, to like talk down to you. Come on, man.
I'd be just fine. I would be
So
just fine.
Is there anybody that if they were to tell you you're wrong, stop talking like that, This is why. There's nobody that would be like,
No,
yeah, maybe I am wrong.
no,
There's
no. You guys know it already.
there's nothing anyone can say to like make you rethink your list about any of the players on your list.
Yes and no. I mean, I'm. You can reconsider active players. I'm not reconsidering players that are done.
Oh, you're not going to reconsider certain players that are done, even though there are new stats coming out that analyzes what they did at that time that we might not have been able to analyze back then,
No,
especially since we didn't get to watch all those games.
no, because we didn't get to watch those games. It is what it is at this point. I mean,
So all you have to base off is the stats that they have.
the numbers, what they did for the game, how they changed it, people's, recollection of what it was, the few things I have seen. Most of the players on that list, with the exception of what, 3 I've seen play. So,
Okay. And then in terms of all their stats, how in depth into their stats did you go?
stats are they're a snapshot in time of the era they played in. Like you said, points have changed over each and every year. Kobe's points per game isn't going to compare to, say, the next shooting guard who comes in who tries to emulate Jordan and Kobe, because the numbers are going to get inflated because of the way the game's played. So numbers only play a certain role in everything, and we always come back to this 1 through 10, and you guys trying to switch things and trying to. It's just it is where they're at. I mean, stats were important for the time period they played in, but it's not the whole thing. Some of it's just going to be subjective and opinion based. Most of it's subjective and opinion based, and everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you right now, what stats, aside from changing the game, keep Larry Bird in the top 10?
It's that everything Larry did was different.
Was it? Okay, well, like what? And that's what I'm asking you.
The dude won at every level he played in.
Okay.
He was able to do things that he would say he would do. People knew what he was going to do. He still did it. He changed basketball completely. He came in with magic. The two of them, the whole rivalry, it boosted the NBA to new levels. It's not just numbers.
Okay, well, you talk about certain numbers against Kobe.
I don't talk about numbers against Kobe. I told you I put Kobe at 11 for a few reasons.
No,
One
no,
being
no, no, no,
I
no,
did
no, no, no,
impersonate
no, no,
one
no, no.
person.
No,
We're
no,
not going back into this top 10. That's not what this is.
Yeah, no, no, hold on a second. I'm because there's a couple things like I want to point out that you've said that contradict yourself.
Zico.
Example
We
being,
just went through this whole thing that it doesn't matter who on
no,
here
no, no,
comes
no.
in and says,
I'm gonna continue to point those things out so that I can have more and more ammo to prove you wrong. Example being, when Omar and I talk about Kobe was hurt for certain years, you
mm-hmm.
say that doesn't matter. Yet, why did it matter for Shaq when you literally said on our podcast, if Shaq wasn't hurt so much, his numbers would have been greater?
When did I say that?
I'm going to cut the tape and I'm going to share it on Instagram. You literally said it in our top 10 debate. So you literally led into had Shaq not been hurt so much, his numbers would have been greater, his accolades would have been greater. You literally led into that in our top 10 and how you presented Shaq. I will cut and edit.
For an injury?
Due to injury.
That's crazy.
Not been. I'm gonna. Oh man, this is going to Instagram. This
That's
part
fine.
and that one, it's going on to Instagram.
Sometimes people misspeak. It still
Also,
doesn't
you talk about finals MVPs like they are so great, and you talk about finals performances like they're so important. Yet you won't mention some of the things that happened to certain people in their finals performances that are on your list. Example being Larry Bird. Did you ever look at his finals performances?
Don't need to.
Don't need to. Well, you might want to look at some of them because he has one finals performance in particular where he didn't win finals MVP and had a pretty average finals performance, which lowers his stats and isn't that great of a finals championship because he wasn't the greatest player on that team at that time. Tim Duncan.
He didn't do it He didn't do it three
Tim
times.
Duncan. No, hold
You're
on a
changing
second.
the whole. You're
No,
changing.
no,
the
no. I'm
whole
pointing things
narrative.
out. I'm pointing things out.
You're
Tim
taking
Duncan.
bits and
Hold on a
pieces.
second. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan has 5 titles.
Mm-hmm.
You keep talking about how Kobe had Check. Well, Tim Duncan had David Robinson in the first title that he won. He had
Who was Finals MVP?
the greatest coach of all time. Hold on a second. I will
So
get
did
to the
Kobe.
Finals MVP. He had
Kobe had a great coach.
Well, he did. That's what I'm saying. So there's that balance, right? So he had David Robinson, one of the 50 greatest players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
In his last title, he had Kawhi, he had Ginobili, and he had Tony Parker. He had Tony Parker and Ginobili for the other titles he had as well. In one of those Finals MVPs, here's an interesting stat for you, Mike. In one of those Finals MVPs, Tim Duncan had the worst efficiency Finals MVP award ever given to any player. Yet he won that award. Manu Ginobili should have won that award. There are stats to prove it. However, the media picks the Finals MVP, just like they did when Shaq won his 3rd Finals MVP and Kobe should have won it. They picked Shaq instead of Kobe.
And like when Kobe
So
won
why
it,
do we
should have won
balance
it.
this?
I mean, you could do that with anything.
Of course we can. Of course we can. However,
opinion based. That's why I don't know why we have this argument constantly.
Because it's the most
gonna
interesting
change
thing
my
people want to
opinion.
hear about. It's the most interesting thing people want to hear about.
I don't think they want to hear about it
Mike,
anymore.
a lot of people that want to like and
Go
subscribe.
comment on it. I'll respond to your comments.
Mike, I'm just giving you an example. I get messages from people. Make sure you say this to Mike. Make sure you show this to Mike, just so we can prove him wrong, just to show him that he's wrong. I will read you, which I've said this over and over to certain people. Here's one example. Frank Canales was laughing left and right after I posted the most recent videos where I literally proved you wrong in one of your rants, and you had nothing to say. You kind of started changing the subject. I posted that on Instagram, and Frank laughed, LOL, and said I would give up because he says he sees it's pointless to argue with you.
I'm
sitting here telling you the same thing.
And you're talking about Frank Canales, who loves to argue.
Right,
Guys,
exactly.
It's an opinion. Guys, top 10.
Here's another one. Magic
There's
Magic has Kareem, Worthy, Byron, and Cooper. They hid Magic on defense. LeBron doesn't even get double teamed as much as Kobe Bryant does. LeBron got bronze for Team USA. They had to get Kobe to win gold. LeBron, 6-time all defense. Kobe, 12-time all defense. And 4 of those times, he led the league in scoring. Please tell these things to Mike. And my response was, I've already pointed all these things out to Mike before. And they say, wow. And then they give me one of those emojis where the guy's brain is blowing off.
That's a good one. So let's go into double teams. If you double team somebody, what's the best thing to do when you get double teamed?
Pass the ball.
Pass the ball. So if you quadruple team Kobe and he shoots, you're going to continue to do it. So you're going to see more.
Which
doubles.
is why you could also look at other stats. You could also look at other stats.
Argument.
How many?
If I can double team a
shots?
guy and he's going to try to dribble through and shoot over me every time, I'm going to continue to do it. And that's why he had a terrible shooting percentage. And that's why he had so many losing teams. And that's why he missed the playoffs.
That's why he had so many losing teams. He had losing teams because he had bad players. How many losing teams did he have? He had one. He had one, Mike. After he tore his Achilles, you can't compare that. Like, that's not like the Lakers go into rebuild mode. They draft Julius Randle. They let Pau Gasol go. Like, what are you going to compare? The guy came back from an Achilles injury.
So did Durant. He's doing just fine.
But Durant had it when he was younger. Kobe Bryant was already old.
So he should have just retired then if he was pointless.
He should have retired. I actually agree. He should have retired.
Maybe if he had retired, he would have. Everyone would have remembered him, and he would have been number 10. But he's not.
You had Kobe Bryant down your list even before then, Mike. Even
probably higher.
Well, why didn't Tim Duncan retire? Because his numbers went worse and worse and worse. They were worse than Kobe's in the last couple of years.
He was on a winning team.
Why was he on a winning team?
Because he knew how to not shoot out of quadruple teams.
No, because he had a good team, because the organization put a good team around him. Those are politics.
Because he was willing to sacrifice who he was as a player.
No,
that's why Allen Iverson. That's why Allen Iverson.
Did Tim Duncan take like a $5 million like paycheck like per year? No, he got his money.
Allen Iverson could have continued his career because he still had money to go, but
he couldn't.
Little guys don't play that. Mike, stop.
Okay.
Little guys don't play that
If
long.
you
Little
guys
guys
stop,
are
I'll
unbelievable.
stop. Allen Iverson didn't need to retire when he did. He refused to come off the bench. Look at Westbrook. Westbrook didn't want to come off the bench.
Westbrook's also a taller player. Like
Westbrook
smaller
didn't,
guys.
but I'm
is
just
harder.
saying, as far as mindset, he didn't want to come off the bench either. And now all of a sudden he's coming off the bench and he's doing great.
Right, but I'm talking about it's like smaller players like Allen Iverson. It's way harder for smaller players to play longer. Just
When
look
he
at
retired, he still could have played.
he wouldn't have been on a winning team, Mike. He would have been just a regular old bench player for some team and not done
The
much.
Spurs wanted him. They wanted him to back up Tony Parker.
That would have
He
been
said,
the
no,
only
I don't want to be a
situation-
backup.
That would have been the only situation that like might have been beneficial to him, but
He would have got a ring.
maybe not. He might have come in and there have been a detriment to the team.
No, it would have been fine.
You know what? Popovich has certain guys he likes to coach and certain guys he doesn't. Do you remember the Richard Jefferson experiment? How did that work out? Failed. There's a guy who should have been perfect for his system, but wasn't intelligent enough and unable to figure out his system and work within it. And Pop told him, you could figure it out, I'll fucking trade you. That's exactly what his words were to Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson announces that everywhere.
Damn, Mike, you're really getting Zico to curse, bro, on the
Sorry.
podcast. Like,
My apologies.
He was quoting somebody.
Quoting, yeah. So it wasn't my curse. It was,
You have to quote somebody.
yeah, exactly.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, you're pissing Zico off, Mike. Stop.
No, he's not pissing me off. It's just it's more content that I could cut and paste and then post on, reels.
But Mike, seriously, I think there is a portion of it where you just need a reality check, bro. You're the only
All right,
person.
I'm gonna stop picking on Mike so much.
Not the only person, but that's okay.
You're not the only person that feels that way. You're not. You're in the minority, and like that.
I agree. I'm sure I am in the minority.
Which is why I say, like, if there was a poll, which is the best way to figure these things out.
Majority is not always right.
How does that make minority right?
Well, if the majority is wrong, then the minority has to be right because one's right.
No. What would give the minority that credit to be right in that situation?
Well, you're just saying in a poll, and I'm just saying not all polls.
No, but my idea of a poll would be asking actual players, coaches, trainers, which you're shaking your head no. No, let's just keep sticking to the media because they have no agenda.
Not everybody knows. It's an opinion-based thing. It's subject to people's opinions and
Right, which is again like why I would ask people who are experts in that situation, not wrong.
Because not everybody who plays basketball is an expert in basketball.
I agree. I didn't say everyone. I said pull 1,000 of them, pick the brightest minds of them, current, former, past. If that were to happen and those people came back and Kobe Bryant's the third best player all time, how would you feel about that?
I would say congratulations. He's still number 11.
Oh man. That's a good clip to add. All right, I'll let Mike go for tonight. We won't talk anymore Kobe, but thank you for the content to cut and paste for later. Last topic of the night. We are in rivalry week in the NBA, which is a pretty fun week. A lot of the matchups are really great to watch. There was one tonight that I was really excited about, especially since it has to do with the Rookie of the Year race. And we got a little taste of Chet versus Wemby again, and it was a pretty good game. Unfortunately for Wemby, it did result in a loss. However, in his matchup, I think he might have bested Chet a little bit. And earlier in the season, we all kind of felt like Chet might be a little bit ahead of Wemby right now in the Rookie of the Year race. But as of late, Wemby has been playing really well, and his numbers are starting to pull away from Chet. What do you guys think about this matchup, and what do you guys think of the Rookie of the Year race?
Well, this goes right into what we were already talking about. The votes are subjective and opinionated, so people have their own opinions that they get to vote on. With that said, I think Wemby's numbers will be better at the end. I think he's going to continue to improve. I think his ceiling is much higher. It has to be to accommodate his size, right? but he's going to get stronger. He's going to develop those skills. I mean, I know Chet was hurt, but he had a whole offseason and season in an NBA. He got to see that atmosphere. He got to see what that looked like. This is Wemby's first time in it. He's going to put on that strength. He's going to learn to be. He's going to find his spots better. He's going to get more methodical in what he's doing. He's going to adjust to that game speed. And I think not only by the end of this year, but going into next year and the years after, I think he's going to be an overall better player than Chet will be.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Chet's going to be a really good player. I think the Thunder have a gem on their hands with them, and the fact that they could pair him next to Shy is amazing for them and that organization. I think that those are they're going to be their 1-2 punch for a long time. Wemby is it's kind of different comparison because we're obviously comparing Chet and Wemby because they're competing in the Rookie of the Year race. I think eventually it's going to be Shea versus Wemby in like that matchup, and young teams going at it because they'll be the number ones in the team, and then whoever Wemby's number two is, it'll be Wemby and number two versus Shea and Chet, but Shea and Wemby will be the marquee of that matchup. Both of them had really good games tonight. Wemby had 24 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 9 of 18 shooting, 4 blocks, 1 steal. Chet had 17 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 of 13 shooting, 3 blocks, 1 steal. So it was pretty evenly matched. I think Wemby does get to take a little more does get to take more shots being the number one on his team, whereas Chet is coming off of Shea, and Shea is shooting more and getting more of the touches, and also the rest of that team, they have a lot of guys that do chuck as soon as they get the ball. But yeah, I think it's great for the NBA to have matchups like this. It's kind of going to be the future of what we have now, Jokic versus Embiid, and I love seeing matchups like this.
Yeah, I saw there's one play of Wemby playing some bully ball and actually putting his shoulder down into Chet and taking 2 long steps and getting that dunk. And that's more of what he's going to need to develop and do. And once he gets the strength to do that, I think he's going to have fun playing in the league.
He's definitely going to be fun to watch. I'm excited for him. I'm excited, probably more than anything, I'm excited that he gets to play under Pop. Pop had been talking retirement for so long, and I feel like Wemby playing for Pop is going to be so beneficial to him in his future. And sky's definitely the limit for him. Omar, a guy, anything you want to add to this?
No, I mean you guys touched on all of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's
I think sorry to interrupt, but I think we really got to strike that comment from our podcast.
Which one?
We touched on. I want to touch on. You touched on.
What are you
talking about? The NBA, guys. I don't think we need to touch on everything. But go ahead, Omar. Continue.
Mike, get your head out the gutter, dude. You're just running out of content, especially now that Giddy's been cleared. You can't really touch on anything.
I think you're the one that's touching on that conversation, Omar, not us. You keep bringing it up.
Well, yeah, because it's always going to be funny.
It will.
But either way,
especially since it's so close to home. I mean, Newport Beach is literally next town over. So
yeah, so you might be catching them.
Yeah, head down to Fashion Island, see Gideon and his girl getting dinner, holding hands.
Yeah,
not getting drinks.
But I mean, you guys had valid points about both of those players and the future of each one of them. But when we focus, something that we will be touching on and talk. God, it's hard. Mike, you messed this all up. Something that we'll be discussing in later episodes is obviously other rookies that could be contending, because it's still a long season ahead of us. We're just hitting the midway point, right? There's still the second half of the season. A lot of things can change for guys. But definitely right now, those two have held up the hype. They've been productive, and especially for their height and their physique. A lot of people had issues with the durability and the physicality of the game, and they've held their own, I would say.
I think some of that we have to wait and see because it is the start of their careers. They're going to have some growing pains, especially as they start to mature and possibly gain some weight. So I hope for the best of help for both of them. I really like both those guys, and I'm rooting for both of them. So we'll see. We'll see how their careers pan out, and hopefully they can stay healthy and be something special to the league, especially Wemby. I really think that there was so much attention on Zion for so long, and Zion's a good player, but that's not the kind of guy I feel like you could put on the face of a franchise
Zion's a
or
better
of the
player.
NBA, and Wemby, I feel like he could be the face, like him and like Luca 10 years from now, and like that's like those are the guys, and Tatum, like those are the guys I feel like that's gonna be the face of the NBA. So
Yeah, I see Zion Williamson and Blake Griffin at best.
like
You know what? That's disrespectful to Blake Griffin, in my opinion.
That's what I said at his best. If that's the best Zion can get to. I'm not saying he's there. I'm saying that's his ceiling is Blake Griffin.
there's another comparison that like kind of is close. It's not the same, but it's close. And it kind of reminds me of Larry Johnson. When he came into the league, like they were doing all those grandmama commercials, and he was really good and he was so versatile. Like he was playing 2-3-4, guarding 2-3-4, could guard five. He was guarding Shaq. He was so physical, so strong. He had all those commercials. And then what was the one where he like, oh, you really hope he doesn't have a knee injury because he's carrying a lot of weight. And there's that knee injury. And then it's like you don't remember him the last 4 years of his career. So in that
And that
sense, yeah,
Charlotte team was stacked.
huh?
That Charlotte team was stacked too, with
Yeah,
him and Mourning and Bogues
yeah. Yeah, that was a
and Del Curry too, right?
Jamal Mashburn was on that team, I think, too, right? I
They
think
were loaded.
they were loaded. That was a good team. I think they actually had a really good shooting guard who ended up passing away during that season. I can't
You know who
remember.
they didn't have? Jordan.
Yeah,
And so it didn't matter.
that was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna end the episode there. Again, today's episode wasn't a specific topic. It was all topics. As you guys can see, we were all over the place today, but there was so much news, so much content to go over. I didn't want to miss anything.
Are we letting Omar out of a phone call?
Oh no, no, Omar, you owe a phone call, man. Phone
It's a
call.
late one too, and it's a different day. People aren't prepared.
Yeah.
Omar's not even prepared today for that phone call. So
Omar, call my brother. Let's see if he answers.
I got my phone ready.
Give him a hard time. Ask Dino to sing us a song.
He doesn't sing. Tell him to rap us something.
Tell him, well, he sings too, but he could rap us something.
Hi, you reached the authentic. Sorry, I missed your call.
Straight to voicemail.
Hold on.
He's on the phone with somebody else right now. If it went straight to voicemail, he's on the phone with somebody else.
He's got your
All right,
number.
Omar, I won't count that one again since I recommended it. Call whoever you want.
Yeah, we don't even hear ringing.
No.
It's all right. We'll give you a pass. It's a
Hi,
different
you
day.
reached the authentic. Sorry, I missed
No,
your call.
he didn't answer, bro.
Now you know. Let's see. Would he answer if Zico called him though?
Yeah,
No,
Zeke.
no, my call. He's never answers my call, bro.
Mike, you try him.
No, because then we'll just get upset.
I'll mess with him. I'll see if he'll answer, but I don't think he will. If it goes straight to voicemail, he's on the phone with somebody else. Like this is my brother. He's sitting there with his phone like this, walking around talking to every person he has in his phone book, all his best friends. So
It also could be he's what do you call it? on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, straight to voicemail. Could be.
It's all right. We'll give you a pass.
Mike, I'll give you a pass on that one. Go, Omar, call somebody else.
Oh,
I
was
thought you guys would give me a pass period for the night since you
I was
asked.
going to give you a pass.
I recommended that one, so
Right, Mike? I get a pass, right?
I thought we were doing it.
no, we still got to do it. You got to call one person. Come on.
Zico means business.
Yeah,
Hey,
either that or
How many
push-ups.
subscribers are we at?
89.
You know what?
See,
Let's see.
no one
Let's see.
wants to see me wear a Kobe jersey.
This is
You got the world's best microphone. It cuts out sound.
Is it ringing, Omar? We can't hear it ringing.
We got to make fake ringing noises. Ring.
Hey, you reached the voicemail of Matt Scott. I'm not
Oh,
able to get to the
yeah,
phone
dude.
right now. Please
I could have
leave-
told you he's not answering.
He's not answering. He's asleep.
well. Only reason I did that because since we called Dino, I was calling somebody that was close to home here. The next attempt, I was going to try to call Anthony and see if he answered.
That's call Anthony. That'll be a
No,
good.
Anthony's. I promise you, Anthony's asleep. He ain't answering. I could have told you Matt's not answering. He's getting prepared for
For a baby, I know.
life-changing thing. I think he's doing that Friday.
I feel like
I'm
Matt's
that
a
happy
big time
for-
early morning person anyway. I think he's in bed before any of us.
Hey, Zico.
Yeah.
Who's been commenting that deserves a phone call? Somebody that's following the podcast.
Oh.
Give him a chance.
Okay.
He can't name names. These people didn't want to be named.
Colin's another good one that you could.
Colin. Nobody wants to hear what Colin has to say.
Yeah, but that's
And Colin ain't answering either. It's 11 o'clock.
I don't even have Colin's number.
Oh. Colin ain't sleeping, but he ain't answering.
Oh man. You could try daylight.
Do I have Daylight's number?
Hey, he just released a single.
No, I don't have Daylight's number.
That's all right. I think we should give Omar a pass. It's a different day. We'll let you go.
You want me to try call daylight, Omar, for you?
Yes, go ahead and call Daylight.
Yeah,
Yes,
we'll
I appreciate the pass, Mike.
Yeah, we'll give you a pass since it's a different day.
Yeah, see, we don't hear your phone ringing either.
Yo, what's good, Zico?
What's up, Day? How you doing, man?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. What's good?
Listen, I have you on my podcast right now with Mike and Omar. You're on speakerphone with us.
What up, Dave?
Everybody says, "What's up?"
What's up, Day?
What up? What up?
What question? Oh, Day. We have to ask you a question. Actually, this is a serious one.
All right, run it.
Michael Van Wyck has Kobe Bryant outside of his top 10 all time. Who?
I'm getting
Where?
off the phone.
Yeah. Where do you rank Kobe all time?
Number two.
Number
Nine
two.
Jordan.
Number two. I keep telling him majority says that Mike is wrong, but he doesn't listen.
Hey man, I can't fathom why somebody would have Kobe out of their top 10 in any way. I can't fathom that. That doesn't even register in my mind.
We could talk about it Saturday.
Oh my god. Wait, who the hell do you have over him?
Oh man.
Steph Curry, Larry Bird.
Well, I have Steph Curry too, so let's not use
Over
that.
Kobe? Over Kobe? He's
Oh no,
said
not over Kobe. No, not. But
Yeah,
he has Kobe at 11, bro.
Jordan, LeBron, Duncan, Shaq, Kareem, Wilt, Bill, Steph.
Hey, look, man, no disrespect to anybody from like the 50s, but basketball was doo-doo then.
Hey, leave it up to Day to say
honestly, if any one of us played in the 40s, we would average 90.
You'd be the real Magic if you played at that time, Day.
Basketball is doo-doo then, man. I'm not giving nobody from the 50s credit. No one.
Hey,
Sorry.
hey, Day.
Like, think about it, man. People back then, they stats was like 75 points, 92 rebounds, 100. Like, come on, man.
It's just like your stats in our league right now, right?
basically.
Hey, Day, listen, we definitely want to get you on the show at some point, man.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Whatever, like, next time well, I should be free, like, top, like, Monday morning. So, like, starting next week, I'll be free, so whenever.
Okay, we'd love to have you on, man. I think that'd be awesome. We'll promote your next single. All right, buddy. Have a good night. Bye.
Right.
That's the official. Hang up, I did. That's the official daylight right there. Guy's a legend. Thank you, Day. We appreciate that phone call.
I
Saved
appreciate it.
Omar from push-ups.
You sure did.
All right, guys. Thank you so
All right.
much for tonight. Have a good night, Mike.
Have a good night,
Keep on
everybody.
hating. Keep on hating, Mike.
Have a good night, everybody.
How you
Keep
finish
on
the
hating,
show,
Mike.
I don't finish the shows. I
Like
already
and
told everybody
subscribe.
like and
Finish with
subscribe.
that one thing. There you go. All
I already
right.
told everybody like and subscribe. If we remember, if we get to what 250 subscribers, I got to wear a Kobe jersey for a whole episode.
What did we say? What did we say? Every
I don't
few,
remember.
right?
We got
So
Zico
all,
shaving his head.
all you folks that think Mike is crazy for hating on Kobe and calling him, you need to help us get more followers so we can get to 250 so Mike can wear that jersey.
You know what? I know we're going over our time here, but we talked about yesterday. I got to go play on the Clippers court and have some fun. Gerard made the jerseys and had them all made, and my jersey number was 8, and the back said Mamba, and I had to play basketball with that on.
Gerard made that for you?
Gerard, well,
Wait, and
Gerard
Gerard,
on purpose?
and
Gerard
Gerard
made
didn't
him for
reach
the
out to
team.
me for jerseys?
Anthony was also he's got his own guy. Anthony was number 24 and also had Mamba on the back. So,
Anthony's not as big of a hater as you are.
but just so you guys know, so I now have a Mamba jersey.
Well, you could wear that for
That's
one.
Protein Lab on the front, though.
You can wear that for one of the episodes. After we reach
Yeah,
250.
and Zico shaves his head.
Yeah. Well, I said I'd shave my head if we get 10,000 followers. You said you're gonna wear Kobe Bryant's jersey.
Now we were gonna adjust that, but
Yeah, we will adjust that. We'll adjust that.
like and subscribe, guys. Like and
All right,
subscribe.
guys. Have a good night.
Good
Peace,
night.
Omar.